Alright, today we're going to be changing the coil packs on bank 1 and 2 of this 99 Nissan Maxima. First thing you want to do when you're working with any electronics on a vehicle like this is disconnect the negative battery cable. 13mm wrench, just back that off a little bit, give it a twist, pop it off, lay it to the side. And all that does is that de-electrifies the chassis so we don't have any arcing and sparking on any connectors we might be removing, and so we don't damage any sensitive electrical equipment. Alright, I'm going to be starting with bank 1, and the first thing I'm going to do is release the electrical connector. Now, I'm not going to change all of the coils in this video. Some of them have already been replaced, so I'll just be replacing the remaining old coils. Alright, now to get this connector off, all you have to do is press down in to the connector until you can't press any farther, and then wiggle it off. Just like that. Alright, now with the connector released, just kind of lay it to the side. 8mm socket on a small extension. There's a small 8mm bolt with a Phillips head in it. I recommend using a socket, not a screwdriver. Just, it's a lot easier. Alright, break loose. Just going to work that screw out. Now, be mindful of the screw. You don't want to lose these down into the, underneath the intake manifold. That would be a pain to ever get one of these back. So I'm just threading it out by hand now. There we go. I'll lay it to the side over here. Now, there is one more bolt you have to get, and that's this one back here. So 2 8mm bolts total. And this one is really tricky because, well, it's down in behind the manifold, and again, you don't want to lose it. So I'm going to loosen this thing until it's completely loose. Get my socket off of it. I'm going to take a magnet and pull it out. Alright, so using my handy dandy part magnet, I'm just going to pull the screw out. Just like that. Alright, now with the coil loose, I should be able to pull it straight off the spark plug. Alright. And came right out. Nice and easy. Alright, so here's my old coil, and it's getting some rust on the surfaces of it, which, you know, it's possible there's corrosion down into the actual circuit board in here, which could cause the stumbling the car's been having. It's been having some idle misfires, so even after changing all the spark plugs. So here's a brand new coil. It came with a new spark plug lead here. Make sure that the spring is actually inside, and it should sit all the way down in there. Take a brand new coil and just pop it on. Just like that. Ready to go in. Alright, so we're going to take our new coil, drop it down in. You might have to do some wiggling. Oh, it dropped right down in, so it should be on top of the spark plug now, and it should press down. You should feel some pressure, and that should be down on the spark plug right there. Take our first screw. Ready to get that started. Might have to wiggle the coil around a little bit to find where the screw goes. There it is. And get it started, and it started. Now this back one's a little more challenging because if we just drop it in, we might lose it. So we got to be careful. What I would recommend doing is put some pressure on it, the side of it with your finger, and help guide it down into the hole it's supposed to go into, just like that. And then give everything a wiggle as you're turning the extension, and it is started as well. Just going to run this down in. Alright, This one down in some more. Make sure this back one's all the way down in. That's pretty good. Got a ratchet on here. Make sure we're tightening. And you just want to run this down until it's snug. Alright, so now that we have the connector, the coil pack in and snug down, we're going to take the connector and just spray it out with some quick drying electronics cleaner. And this just helps clear out any gunk, dirt, oil, grease that's built up inside the connector that could be causing poor connectivity with the coil and the ECM. Alright, now that the connector is dried for a couple minutes, we'll go ahead and reconnect it. And to reconnect these, all you have to do is slide it down on and basically press. And the little plunger should pop back out. That means the connector is properly connected. Alright, for this next part, we need to get at this coil right here. And as you can see, there's this emissions purge solenoid that's kind of in the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove these two nuts off the intake manifold so we can flop the bracket over and get at the connector. Alright, to take this bracket off, I'm going to be using a 12mm deep socket. And these should just come loose pretty easy. Yep, there we go. And again, make sure you don't drop these because you might not be able to find them again. Alright, set these aside. And we should be able to pull up our bracket here and just kind of move it over. And it doesn't want to move over. Let's see, we're going to hook this to. There we go. Alright. Now we have access to our button. Pushed it in, heard the click, wiggled it off. There you go. Now we just have to take the two bolts off on our coil. So I've got a little bit better view, I think, over here. I'll go with this side. Loose. All right. Got that one. Again, I'm going to run this until it's all the way loose, and then I'll try to get it with the magnet. All right. And pull it right out with the magnet. And the coil should slide out after some wiggling. Ooh, this one is on there. Gloves. Alright, I'm going to try this with gloves. Wow. That is not wanting to come out. That's awesome. Oh, there it goes. Whew. Oh, wow. It's in there so good it's pulling this bottom boot off. Dang. Alright, so we've got our new coil here. We'll go ahead and slide it down into the spark plug bore. Get it down on the spark plug. Get our first bolt started. Let's thread it in. Use the same technique I used last time. I'm going to brace the bolt against the, use my other hand, the socket so it doesn't fall out, and slide it down into where it needs to go. There we go. Get it started as well. Thread that in. Come on, where are you? Alright, nice and snug. Nice and snug. Check it one more time. It's good. Alright. And again, take this electrical contact cleaner, spray out our connector. And let it sit for a minute or two and dry. Alright, so our connector's nice and dried out. Just gonna line it up. Come on. And it should slide back on with relative ease. Plunger pop back out, so it is locked on now. Alright, so as for our bracket, move it back into place. It's a good idea to kind of give a good visual on the hoses. Some of these are old and dry rotted. Make sure you didn't crack any of the hoses. If you did, there's a good chance you're going to pop an emissions code for that. But as long as the lines aren't cracked or anything or torn open, you should be fine. So now this is back on its studs. Let's go ahead and put the 12mm nuts back on. Just hand thread these on. And again, no need to torque these down overly tight, just nice and snug. They're just holding this bracket on the intake manifold. Alright, that is the coil packs for cylinder bank 1. Alright, so now we're going to tackle replacing the coil packs on the forward cylinder bank number 2. So there's a protective cover over the coil packs, and there's 4 bolts. Again, 8mm. Go ahead and undo these. Now this one someone must have lost at some point because they left me with this nice straight slot screwdriver, which I don't really appreciate, but as long as I don't over tighten it when I put it back in, it'll come out okay. Go ahead and pull that out and lay it to the side. Pull this bolt out. Go ahead and remove all the bolts from the coil pack cover. Alright, now the coil pack cover should come right off. There we go. And place this to the side, and as you can see, here are 3 coil packs. Now this one was replaced not that long ago, and you can see that there's no corrosion on it. These 2 right here are getting a fair amount of corrosion on them, and if that's crept inside the coil pack, well, it could be corroded in there as well, causing some misfires. Alright, so let's get these connectors off. Again, just push the plunger in. Ow. This is where a screwdriver, a flat blade might come in handy. You can just push the plunger in with a flat blade screwdriver. Just be careful not to break anything. Come on. There we go. Now we're going to wiggle it off. No, no. I might have got it. Nope, not quite. So as you can see, these are actually kind of more difficult than the top ones. Yeah. So fun. There we go. Oh, God. Whew. Just got a double-handed, I guess. Alright, so connector's off. Same 8mm socket and ratchet. That one, I set it to the side. That one out. And it should pull out. There we go. Came right out. Alright, just so everybody can see, here's the old coil pack right here, and you can see the corrosion on it. It's on both sides. New coil pack, no corrosion. Definitely not in 100% good condition. Could be leading to some misfires, so that corrosion has gone inside the coil itself. Alright, so to install this, all we're going to do is line it up the same way the rest of them are going. Make sure your spring is down in there, which it is. This one came pre-assembled. I didn't have to put the spring inside of the spark plug lead at all. Press it down onto the spark plug. And we're going to take our 2 bolts, get them started. Get this one started. Alright, those are down there and they're snug. Now I'm just going to tighten them up. Again, hand tight. Okay. Take our electrical contact cleaner and spray out our plug. And let it dry for a minute. It can help too to tap out some of the excess cleaner like that. And then we'll wait for it to dry out and then reinstall. Alright, so our connector's all dried out, and I'm just going to slide it on. Line it up. This might take a little bit of wiggling. Ah, there it goes. It is now on. Alright, so for our last one here, we're going to have to do the same thing. So push this in. And then attempt to wiggle this connector off. Oh, that one came off a lot easier. Alright. Nice. That connector's off. Again, take our socket and ratchet. Break the 2 bolts loose. Run the bolts out. Set these at the side and pull our coil pack out. There we go. Alright, just like the last cylinder, make sure there's a spring down inside this spark plug lead. Slide it down onto the spark plug. Should feel a little resistance, but that's okay. That's just sliding over the spark plug. Take our screws. Get them started. Run them down in with our extension on our 8mm socket. And then go ahead and hand tight with our ratchet. There we go. Spray out our connector. And let it sit and dry for a moment. Alright, now I'll go ahead and slide back on the connector. And it's on. Alright, last thing to do, take our coil pack cover and slide it down on and get all our screws and bolts going. Alright. Just getting these started by hand. And then run them down in the extension. Alright, and then snug them up. And don't over tighten these. This is just a plastic cover and you could easily crack it and damage it. Alright. Alright, so last thing I'm going to do is go ahead and reconnect this battery terminal, our negative battery terminal. Put it on there. And you just want to snug these easily until you can't twist them by hand, the terminal, because if you over tighten these, it damages them. Alright. Alright, let's start it up and see if it runs good. And she started right up. Make sure our idle starts to drop. Well, I'll be honest, I don't feel any missing right now. Idle's starting to come down from cold start. So what you want to do when you change coil packs or spark plugs out like this is you want to start the car and let it run for a little while, especially with the negative battery terminal disconnected. That a lot of times can give your ECU a bit of a restart, and kind of have to figure some things out for a little while. You'll notice I have a service engine soon light. That's actually for an oxygen sensor that I will be changing out as well. I'll be doing that a little bit later. But I'm not feeling nice and smooth. I had some misses and some stumbles on idle and acceleration, but it's feeling pretty good right now. Alright everyone, well, that was changing the Bank 1 and Bank 2 coil packs on a 1999 Nissan Maxima. These same procedures should work for any of the V6 3000 series twin cams. Alright, remember, stay rolling greasy, everybody.
They see me rolling greasy.